Fast forward, any come out channel so Haxi GH politics urban. When you political stars are training because making headlines. And na yajamre na EDB exomo ewa ni dimya home braxia mose ene EDD kanya. Best so we can subscribe to the channel. Hit notification bell so share now fee Afofro into me in KB. I will leave you comment constructively under the comment section. Na mami emfa inura eye Ghana amayufi eye Parliament House of Ghana. Na ene eje ku eje bu yempno ye bokoto Parliament. Afenyo markings ene neni abreko a enya semkoto. Adintra protect sahodo e koso mo twi ni nyina na agusiaga ene majority decision etimi approve a year Baffoe Bonny as new Chief Justice of Ghana. Onia young Samre human runs minimum. Na yini influence so ato foxing me no ka say budget review no 2026 budget and government economic policy no oguso a otuichiro at this point in time. We free hoa and also eba into any video no a 2-in-1. Human runs minimum.
Honorable members, the motion has accordingly been adopted. This Honorable House has accordingly approved the nomination of Justice Paul Baffoe Bonny as Chief Justice of the Republic in accordance with Article 114 Clause 1 of the 1992 Constitution, respectively. I want to take this opportunity to, on behalf of the House, congratulate the nominee on his approval by Parliament. I urge the nominee to take all what has happened right up from the day of the nomination up to his approval, I should say prior approval by Parliament, into consideration in his tenure of office. Once again, congratulations.
Mr. Speaker, I'll now give you an update on the audit of arrears and payables. Mr. Speaker, upon assuming office, government was confronted with outstanding arrears and payables totaling 68.8 billion Ghana cedis, comprising 50.5 billion in unpaid invoices and interim payment certificate (IPCs) and 18.3 billion in outstanding bank transfer advices (BTs). Mr. Speaker, in fulfillment of our pledge to protect the public purse and ensure value for money, we commissioned the Auditor General, working directly with PwC and EY, to conduct an independent validation of these arrears and commitment. Mr. Speaker, as I informed this August House during the media review of the 2025 budget, this special audit covered all verified arrests and commitment as at end December 2024. The objective was to establish the legitimacy of the claims, identify irregularities, and address the fiscal risk arising from the accumulation of these arrests and outstanding commitment. Mr. Speaker, the exercise has now been completed, and the Auditor General is finalizing his report for submission to Parliament. But Mr. Speaker, the findings are troubling and very damning. Very damning. Mr. Speaker, out of the 68.8 billion, Mr. Speaker, I'll give headline numbers whilst we wait for the Auditor General to submit the report next week. Mr. Speaker, out of the 68.8 billion payable submitted to audit, submitted for audit, 47.8 billion cedis was validated. Mr. Speaker, an additional 8.6 billion Ghana cedis remains under review, pending further validation due to inadequate documentation, missing third-party confirmation, and lack of supporting document. Mr. Speaker, these yet to be validated claims may be legitimate, but further evidence will be required before they can be recognized. But Right Honorable Speaker, about 10.0 billion Ghana cedis were rejected. The Speaker, due to duplications, recycled IPCs, inflated invoices, falsified stores receipts advice, and instances of no work but demanding money. Right Honorable Speaker, out of the rejected amount, about 1 billion Ghana cedis, comprising BTAs, bank transfer advices, that had already been processed by the Ministry of Finance and were ready for payment by the Controlling Accountant General and Bank of Ghana, were rejected. The Speaker, without this audit, these claims would have been paid, underscoring the importance of vigilance and verification. Mr. Speaker, about 2 billion Ghana cedis was also reclassified from claims to BTS. Right Honorable Speaker, the report is ready and it will be submitted and the detail may be discussed by this House. Mr. Speaker, this audit has not only saved the nation billions in potential losses, but also restored accountability, strengthened expenditure controls, and reaffirmed this government's unwavering commitment to fiscal discipline and transparency. The Speaker, we have identified an abuse in the use of import declaration forms, IDFs. The Speaker, I'll give you the update. Right Honorable Speaker, our investigation into Ghana's import system exposed a staggering abuse of import declaration forms, a tool meant to support legitimate trade, but now hijacked for illicit transfers and tax evasion. Mr. Speaker, between April 2020 and August 2025, over 525,000 transactions amounting to an equivalent of $83 billion were processed through ICOMS. Mr. Speaker, surprisingly, these amount of $83 billion were transferred from Ghana in the name of imports. But surprisingly, Mr. Speaker, only 10,440 of these transactions were linked to actual imports. Mr. Speaker, an equivalent of $31 billion in transactions were transferred abroad with no goods imported into the country. Mr. Speaker, this leaks bleeds our reserves, weakens the Ghana cedi, and deprive the economy of resources that should have been used to build schools, roads, and hospitals. Mr. Speaker, the audit also reveals that some importers underdeclared values to hide about 76 billion for August. Mr. Speaker, other importers inflated transfer values, aided by some banks that ignored the $200,000 ceiling set by the central bank. Over 17,700 IDF applications broke this limit, channeling an equivalent of about $20 billion in unverified transactions out of Ghana. Right Honorable Speaker, this was not a loophole. Mr. Speaker, I repeat, this was not a loophole. It was an organized system for exploitation. In fact, an organized crime. Mr. Speaker, persons and institutions behind these activities are being referred to the Attorney General, Economic and Organized Crime Office, the FIC, and CID for investigation. Mr. Speaker, also, the Ghana Revenue Authority will establish a special recovery unit to reclaim all this lost revenue between this period. Right, Honorable Speaker, government has since acted decisively. An interagency committee will now audit all imported related transfers going forward. The Bank of Ghana will also match every forex transfer with verified import data. The Speaker, we are drawing a hard line. Every dollar leaving Ghana must deliver real value for the people of Ghana. Mr. Speaker, Ghana's public debt is firmly on downward path. Mr. Speaker, by October 2025, total debt had fallen from 726.7 billion Ghana cedis, or 61.8% of GDP in 2024, to 630.2 billion Ghana cedis, equivalent of 45% of GDP. Mr. Speaker, marking one of the sharpest decline in our history. Mr. Speaker, for the first time in over a decade, we have recorded a negative rate of debt accumulation from a positive 19.1% in 2024 to a negative 13.3% in 2025. Mr. Speaker, this turnaround reflects fiscal discipline, prudent borrowing, and stronger cedi, showing that Ghana's reforms are being measured, Mr. Speaker, and they are showing results. At home, domestic debt market has rebounded. Treasury bill have dropped by 1,600 basis points, with the 91-day Treasury bill at 10.7 from 28.9, the lowest in 14 years. Mr. Speaker, government has paid 20.3 billion Ghana cedis in bond coupons, restoring trust and market liquidity. Mr. Speaker, Eurobond prices are up by 17%. Yield down by 300 basis points, and investor confidence is back. Mr. Speaker, Ghana has entered a new era of debt sustainability, anchored on discipline, transparency, and fiscal sovereignty. Mr. Speaker, I'll give an update on sovereign credit ratings. Right, Honorable Speaker, all three major international rating agencies have upgraded Ghana's, affirming new faith in our macroeconomic management. In June 2025, Fitch lifted Ghana from restricted default to B-. Again, Moody's in October upgraded Ghana to Caa1. And Mr. Speaker, in November, a couple of weeks ago, S&P also upgraded Ghana to B-/B. The Speaker, together, these upgrades marks a global vote of confidence. Ghana is once again credible, stable, and open for business. Mr. Speaker, I take you to monetary and financial sector performance. Right, Honorable Speaker, monetary policy in 2025 stayed tight but effective, thanks to prudent management by the central bank and the governor. The Speaker, the Bank of Ghana cut broad money growth to 16.6% and base money to 4.5%, sterilizing 55 billion Ghana cedis to stabilize the cedi and lock in the lowest inflation in 4 years. Right, Honorable Speaker, Ghana's external sector remained strong in 2025. The current account surplus rose to 3.2% of GDP from 2%, driven by robust gold and cocoa export, higher remittance, and strict import management. Mr. Speaker, a $2.1 billion United States dollar trade surplus and growth in non-traditional exports showed a more diversified economy. The Ghana cedi appreciated against the US dollar from 16.35 Ghana cedi to the US dollar in November 2024 to 10 cedi 92 pesos as at 10th November 2025. Mr. Speaker, this represents a rare appreciation of 35%, reflecting sound fiscal and monetary policy management. Right, Honorable Speaker, this stability lowered debt costs and eased inflation. Gold and cocoa powered the recovery. Gold earnings rose 68% to 11.2 billion United States dollars. Speaker, cocoa rose 170% to 2.47 billion United States dollars. Pulse oil dipped to 1.83 billion. Right Honorable Speaker, Ghana's rising export firms reserves, Ghana's rising export firm reserves, and a stable cedi confirms one thing, that Ghana's recovery is real, disciplined, and indeed lasting. So, Speaker, take you to sectorial performance. Right Honorable Speaker, the story of Ghana's economic recovery in 2025 is best told through the work of our ministries, departments, and agencies. Across every sector, from agriculture and industry to governance, infrastructure and human development, performance in 2025 reflects disciplined execution and innovation. The Speaker, our task now is to sustain this momentum. We will boost productivity in agriculture and industry, accelerate infrastructure delivery, and strengthen governance and skills development. Sector ministers will present their outlook in detail, but the message is clear. Ghana is rebounding with purpose and rising with promise. Mr. Speaker, the 2026 medium-term policy objectives and targets is what I'm now going to present. Right Honorable Speaker, as we enter 2026, our mission is clear: to turn the hard-won stability of 2025 into shared prosperity. Mr. Speaker, the sacrifices made by Ghanaians over the past year have restored hope and confidence in our economy. Inflation is down, the city is stronger, growth has regained momentum. Mr. Speaker, our fiscal strategy will match discipline with compassion. Our key fiscal policy priorities for 2026 are as follows. First will be to maintain fiscal discipline by sustaining a primary surplus of 1.5% of GDP on commitment basis. Speaker, the second is to mobilize domestic resources through continuous implementation of our medium-term revenue strategy. Speaker, we will promote value for money and rationalize spending, ensuring that every city delivers value for citizens whilst eliminating leakages and inefficiency. And finally, Mr. Speaker, protect priority social spending in education, health and social protection, to shield the poor and sustain human capital development. The Speaker, in 2026, our monetary and exchange rate strategy will safeguard stability and drive growth, keep inflation low, the city strong, and confidence high. And that will be our monetary and exchange rate strategy. Mr. Speaker, the Bank of Ghana will stay data-driven and cautious, holding inflation within the targeted band of 8 ±2 and easing only when safe. Speaker, the Central Bank is doing a good job. Right Honorable Speaker, to advance our medium-term macroeconomic goal of stability, resilience, and shared prosperity, government has set bold but achievable macroeconomic target for 2026 fiscal year and the medium term. Mr. Speaker, over the medium term, from 2026 to 2028, real GDP is set to rise steadily, averaging about 4.9% at the minimum. Non-oil GDP is programmed to grow around 5% at the minimum. So, Speaker, inflation will stay within 8 ±2% targeted band, reflecting a firm grip on price stability. The Speaker, the fiscal balance will remain strong, with the primary surplus of 1.5% of GDP from 2026 onwards. And Right Honorable Speaker, gross international reserves are expected to provide at least 3 months of import cover over the medium term. Right Honorable Speaker, for the year 2026, we will achieve the following at the minimum: real GDP growth of at least 4.8%, driven by continued expansion in infrastructure and service sectors, agriculture as well. Non-oil GDP, Mr. Speaker, at least 4.9%. End-year inflation for next year will be at least 8% ±2. The Speaker, primary surplus of 1.5% of GDP on commitment basis in line with our fiscal responsibility framework to sustain discipline and debt sustainability. Gross international reserves of not less than 3 months of import cover, covering a strong external sector and a strong defense for the Ghana city. Mr. Speaker, Ghana's fiscal strategy over the medium term is to lock in stability and turn it into lasting growth. From 2026, government will sustain a primary surplus of at least 1.5% of GDP on commitment basis each year, anchoring fiscal discipline and debt sustainability. Speaker, revenue and grant are projected to rise from 16.4% of GDP in 2025 to 16.9% in 2026, reaching 17% by 2029, driven by stronger tax administration. Right, Honorable Speaker, our focus is on expanding the tax net, not overburden existing taxpayers. Mr. Speaker, expenditure growth will remain disciplined, rising modestly from 15% of GDP in 2025 to 15.4% in 2026. As a result, the fiscal deficit will narrow sharply from 2.8% of GDP in 2025 to 2% in 2026 and 2.1% by 2029. Mr. Speaker, in 2026, government will target a primary surplus of 1.5% of GDP, consistent with our fiscal anchor. The overall fiscal deficit on commitment basis is projected at 2.2% of GDP. On cash basis, the overall fiscal deficit is projected at 4% of GDP. Mr. Speaker, this fiscal stance balances consolidation with growth, maintaining discipline while safeguarding resources for productive investment under the Big Push Infrastructure Program and other national priorities. Mr. Speaker, I now take you to revenue mobilization for 2026. Right, Honorable Speaker, in 2026, government expects to collect total revenue and grant of 268.1 billion Ghana cedis, up from 226.7 billion in 2025, a strong 18.3% increase. Non-oil tax revenue, the backbone of domestic mobilization, is projected at 216.1 billion Ghana cedis, growing on the back of improved compliance and enforcement. Oil and gas receipts are expected to contribute 13.6 billion Ghana cedis, supported by steady global prices. The Speaker, non-tax revenue is projected at 20.9 billion, with 18.2 billion retained by ministries, departments, and agencies to sustain essential service. The Speaker, additional inflows from Senate transfers and energy sector levies are estimated at 14.4 billion Ghana cedis, whilst development partners grant will add 3.1 billion to fund key projects. The Speaker, total expenditure on commitment basis for 2026 is projected at 302.6.5 billion Ghana cedis, equivalent to 18.9% of GDP, up from 251.7 billion Ghana cedis.
We ain't some who do cost watch and so I'm not so jim. That's an essay, body and India don't be a dominion. You essential near smoke.